Good morning, everybody. It is the 25th of September, Thursday. And, you know, the first thing I want to speak about is the whole Argentina thing. Okay, so let's big picture it for a second and say that giving them 20 billion plus isn't necessarily a huge amount of money for the United States of America. So the fact that we are, or the administration is walking up and taking $20 billion and lighting it on fire by giving it to Argentina isn't a huge deal for the overall economy of the United States. But when we're also expected to need to give $50 billion in farm subsidies because of mistakes made, intentional or unintentional, by the administration, it is a big deal. It shows a level of detachment from reality that goes along with being so wealthy you don't care. So, the agreement is a $20 billion credit swap. So we're going to buy $20 billion worth of their currency, and they're going to give us $20 billion worth of their currency. So we're going to give them 20 billion US dollars. They're going to give us $20 billion in worthless paper. I say that because the Argentine peso has actually already lost almost 35% this year. So in 2 or 3 years or 4 years, that money that we get from them might as well be money that we could use to, I don't know, light the fires of your home fireplace, because it's going to be just pointless paper. But that is my opinion, and that is kind of the way I view it. Plus, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give them some backing. And that's undisclosed, so we don't know how much that is. And this is on top of the fact that the IMF has given them $40 billion. China has given them money. Argentina is a mess. It's trying to fix its problems by creating more problems. Now, this administration thinks what they're doing is good, and the administration wants to emulate it. So our administration has looked out, and they have seen the Titanic hit the iceberg and go down, and they're saying, hey, let's go drive into that iceberg and see what happens to us. So of course they're trying to bail them out because they don't want to admit that what they're doing, there's the obvious example that it's not going to be easy sailing. So what do we do? I think it's beyond the writing, like a little angry letter to the administration and say, do better for the farm associations. Here's the reality. You need to, if you voted for him, and I know majority of people in my viewing probably did vote for him. And what I'm going to say is this. You got to get active. You got to get involved. You got to talk to your congressman. You got to talk to your senator. And you got to tell them this is enough, because he's only been in 9 months. And he's got to pull back. And they need to make sure he understands that he needs to pull back, because this death spiral for proof of tariffs working, which they don't, and we all know that. That's not even a hard thing to, I know they keep saying, oh, look at me, we've got billions and billions coming in from tariffs, except for money doesn't come in from tariffs. It is us who pay the tariffs. So it's not billions and billions coming in to the country, it is billions and billions going out of your pocket. So that's just the reality. No matter how many times anybody tells you otherwise, we all know that's true. Tariffs are a tax, and who pays that tax is, in the long run, the American business and the American consumer. Okay, but back to Argentina. So we're going to give them this money. And what are they doing? They're competing with the American farmer. So we're paying Argentina to hurt the American farmer. Yeah, there's no other way around it. You can try and slice and dice it and make it sound like, oh, Bob, it is not that simple. No, it is that simple. And it's time that we as voters understand that it's not a culture war. It's not a liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. It is the average guy versus the wealthy and the people who are willing to shill for them. And yeah, I use the term shill. I know that's a bad thing to say, but the reality is that is what they're doing. And they're saying things because they're paid to say them, not because they actually believe them. So you call that what you want. We know what's going on. And you may have hoped for something different, but we've got to look at the road ahead and go, yeah, this is going the wrong direction. So we need to come together. Whether you're a farmer or whether you're just a consumer of agricultural goods like every other human being on this planet, we've got to come together and say, deal with the problems. The administration needs to deal with the problems. Donald Trump may think that tariffs are the most beautiful word ever, but for the rest of us, it's a terrorizing word because it means that we're going to get hurt. We're going to pay it. It's a tax. So if you are a person who has always said you wanted lower taxes and less government, then the Trump administration, well, just admit it. They lied because they are increasing debt, increasing taxes, and increasing the government's way into your life. They may not be increasing the size of the government, but how much that government intrudes into your life, they are absolutely increasing. So, there's a lot of things that can be said and done. I would start really with simply just getting on that internet and going to your congressman and going to your senator and saying, hey guys, it doesn't need to be a big deal. Just pull them aside and have a conversation with them. Walk down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and say, hey, sir, President Trump, this, maybe you have been being told one thing by your advisors, and it's time to actually look to the real world and get out there and meet some people. I live in Missouri, and it's been a long time since the 2nd District Congresswoman's got her butt on out there and met with the people. And then you got the 6th District Congressman, Sam Graves, who, says that he doesn't have to meet with the people because he's already done it enough. Well, the last time he did it was like in 2012. So if you think 13 years ago is good enough with meeting with your people, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're the problem, because you're certainly not representing. All right, well, not that the other side is always better, but we can't pretend that somebody who says something like that they've met with their constituents enough and they haven't met with them in the last 12 years isn't part of the problem, because it's a huge part of the problem. All right, my friends, I hope you all do better. I hope it should be a pretty decent day here in the Midwest, and have a wonderful day.